Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And contrary to popular belief, I am not 3 bowls of cornflakes stacked on top of each other in a trench coat. I don't know why that rumor's getting around. But do me a favor and hit that like button and you'll earn 1 Preston point. And for the last few days we've been carrying the Craftsman compact pocket knife. So let's take a look at what we're holding because it'll bother you if I don't. And you know I love you. So, first things first and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. It could be tip down, and I hate tip down, but we all live in sin. We have got these plastic scales here. We got the compression lock. We got thumb studs. Let's flick the stud. And 3.25 inches of mystery titanium steel. Okay, so this thing is like 15 bucks on Amazon, and I had mentioned this whenever we took our first look at it, but I love finding stuff like this. You know, I love finding budget stuff like this, and especially when it's like this. So, you know, I expected to have a pretty good week with it, with the factory edge being the thing that gave us some problems. And I was exactly right. So when we did our factory edge test on this thing, when we first got it out of the package, we hit a 364, which looked a little fishy, and we tried again and we got a 249. 249 is still kind of rough, but, you know, you work with what you're given, especially around here. So I carried this thing, and one of the very first things I did with it, because I saw it and I had to, the watermelon bins are 3-layer cardboard. They are triple stack cardboard. I went ahead and I took this thing and I pushed it through one large push cut through that, and it sliced well. It went through that triple layer cardboard better than almost anything that I have had the chance to push through it. It gave me no issues going through there. Of course it took some pressure. That is some heavy duty stuff. Yeah, I said duty. But, you know, it's some hardcore stuff, and it took that cut, which also probably took some of the factory edge away. I had started cutting some plastic off of the pallets, and it did all right, you know, not too great, but it did all right. You know, if you had that plastic wrap on the pallets and you haven't been here before, going through the middle of that where there's a bunch of layers together, a good edge will cut through that like it's no problem, and then a great edge when you get down to that bottom single layer will blast through it like you're cutting water. This thing would not cut that bottom layer cleanly fresh out of the box, let alone after pushing it through that triple wall cardboard. It really, really hated life. It did okay cutting the middle, but you got down to that one layer in the bottom. Oh boy, did it just roll it up and tear. It didn't actually cut it. So, you know, you spend 15 bucks on something like this, you're probably going to want to sharpen it right away. And the reason I'm focused on this is because everything else was great with this thing. Everything else was a really good experience. You know, the compression lock was nice. I will say you really got to grip back here and use the pocket clip for an anchor point whenever you're using this thing, because if you don't, you're holding it like this, and it's not the most comfortable or confidence-inspiring feeling in the world. You can feel the handle move around. You can feel it try to fall out of your hand. So, you know, that's one thing where it's not a big deal. For this thing, it's not a big deal. There is a very easy way to do this. You don't really have to spend time learning around it. You just got to change your grip up a little bit, and it's fine. Let's see if I can get it on camera. Yeah, it did start centrifugal opening, which is even better. Even better. You guys know I love a centrifugal opener. I like it. Just the experience outside of the blade steel was fantastic. You know, I'm still blown away that you can get something like this for 15 bucks with a compression lock on it, a wire pocket clip. I love a wire pocket clip. This is like the third one that I own. I love a wire pocket clip. I know some guys hate them, but I like them. And, you know, the fact that it comes with a wire pocket clip, it's got the compression lock, you got 3¼ inches of steel, you got this nice little pop of red here on the thumb studs, which is going to get dinged up when I sharpen this. I already know it unless I tape the crap out of it. For a $15 knife, I'm probably not going to tape it up that heavily, especially since once we do cardboard slayer on it, it's going to the graveyard. I may give this to my brother. I may give it to somebody else. Hopefully it does well on cardboard slayer. So, you know, that's just kind of the whole rundown. And I will say, as cheap as these scales feel, the fit up is wonderful. The fit up on this is wonderful. Like, I'm not feeling any weirdness on it. I'm not feeling any reasons for discomfort. I'm willing to bet this is going to protect my hand during cardboard slayer very nicely. You know, there's no gap here for my fingy to fall into and beat the callus half to death. I feel like this is going to be a really pleasant experience. Now, in spite of all that, in spite of the edge wear that I put on it and the problems it had cutting the plastic off of the pallets, I still swung through the office and grabbed some paper and it's still doing the cut. It's still doing the cut. It's not the cleanest cut in the world. It's not a perfect cut, but it's still doing it. It's still doing it in spite of what felt like some edge wear on there and some fairly rapid edge wear, but that could also be my imagination. That could be my imagination and a little bit of paranoia, because this is one of those where a little bit of bias is attempting to creep in. A little bit of bias is making that first attempt to creep in, because I like this thing a lot. I want it to do good. And I've been really paranoid about the edge just wearing out like that, because we don't know exactly what it is. If we get like 3 CR grade performance out of it, I'll be pretty okay with it. If we can get like 7 CR or 8 CR performance out of it, I'm going to be delighted. We don't know what the steel is. We assume a 440 series steel or a 420 or 3 CR. That's the assumption right now until proven otherwise. But let's take a look at the edge now. This is the edge sharpness tester you guys kindly provided. Thank you for the support. Y'all's channel memberships, super chat donations, what have you. I'll always be grateful for the support. Let's get a fresh clip out. Come on. We're just going to take one sample in the area that really took the beating. And how this works, if you haven't seen it by some odd miracle, is it measures the number of grams of force it takes to cut through this calibrated test clip. So let's see what we got. 218. Wow, okay, so there may have been a little bit of a burr that I knocked off, because that 218 is a decent number. It's not the best number I've seen, but I suspected there might have been a bbit of a burr that caused the high numbers. That 218 is pretty good. It's not like I really went ham on trying to pop it quickly. I'm happy to see that. That means we're probably going to get off to a pretty good start on Cardboard Slayer. However, up in the 218s, there's a chance we're going to have to sharpen it right away and then go back in again on it, which I don't mind so much. Again, like if you have sharpening equipment, stuff like this is not too shabby. But I had suspected there was a bit of a burr on it. If there was, that triple wall cardboard definitely got rid of it. That number is noticeably lower than the first time we measured this thing, so I'm kind of happy to see that. That would explain why it's still doing the paper cut, but the edge does feel a little bit toothy, and it might have been the toothiness on the edge that was doing the trouble with the plastic on the pallets. I can see the toothiness on the edge. It is definitely a rough edge, so that may do great on Cardboard Slayer, and if the steel wears out quickly, we're going to do some experiments. We're going to do our normal 17 degrees per side, or we're probably going to do 18 degrees per side like I do with CR series steels. Give it that fat bevel and that high polish, and then if we have time to go back in again, I'm going to do like a 600 grit finish or an 800 grit finish, and then strop the daylights out of it and see if that makes a big difference, because I haven't really done that before for Cardboard Slayer. I'm curious. So, overall, great experience day to day. Don't know how the steel's going to do for Cardboard Slayer, but, most of us that are just carrying it and breaking down the occasional box as you do probably won't notice that, and if you have sharpening equipment, it's fine. I will say, every single time I run into another knife guy out in the wild, I'm always carrying the cheap stuff like this. I met a coworker's boyfriend, and he is going to Blade Show. He's pretty pumped about it, and he's going in looking for the higher end stuff. I'm going in there looking for stuff under $50, so I got stuff to show you guys, and I got stuff to give away, give back to you guys after y'all have given so much to me. But I'm carrying this, and not the Spyderco Sage 5. I'm not carrying the Benchmade Mini Bedlam. I'm not carrying anything like that. I'm carrying this. And to a non-knife guy, it's like, hey, cool, check it out. They're not going to be super impressed with the name Craftsman on it. They're not going to get it the way we get it and why something like this would be fun. But man, I've got the nice stuff. I could have shown him the nice stuff, but no. This has been every time I've run into a knife guy out in the wild. I ran into a guy that was carrying a Militov fixed blade on his backpack. And I think I had a $10 knife to show him. It's like, yeah, I'm carrying this week. It's like, Jesus, why can't this happen when I got something nice on me? But You know, this came from Saints EDC. This is part of a trade, so we got to thank him for taking this off of my list because I had this on my list for a while. Looking forward to carrying it. But, you know, that's been my overall experience with this thing so far. And of course, if you're catching this, channel members, you'll catch it before the Cardboard Slayer live stream. Keep an eye on that because we're going to have some fun with this thing one way or the other. These cheap steels can be fun, especially experimenting with our edge angles. So I can't think of much else to add. So all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We got live streams, regular videos. There's plenty of activities. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about this thing. If you've got one, let us know how the edge holds up for you. And as always, we're going to plug some products from friends of the channel. They're not affiliate links. I don't make any money, just supporting some friends. I do have my Amazon shop up, and that's just there to show you things that I think are cool that I like. You don't have to use those links, but they are affiliate links. So, here you go. And as always, we are going to link up to Cutting Lacey EDC's Diamond Emulsion if you want to step your stropping game up, make it easier to sharpen your blades, and keep them sharp. Wonderful product. I use it myself on every single knife I sharpen now. And we are going to link up to Mad Yocco's Wax. If you want to protect your blades that are prone to corrosion, if you want to darken up the color of your micarta, or take care of a million other things, he is going to be on Blade Binge with his wax. Alright, just supporting some friends of the channel and some small businesses. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.